Hello, thanks for having me. Just wait for a few people to swap over. So my name's Nicole Edwards. I am a social worker. I work in cancer services in Port Macquarie and also in palliative care in the lovely Port Macquarie. As you can see, that's our break wall. If you haven't been there, you'll have to come and visit. We have 2 McDonald's, so just saying, and a KFC. So a little bit bigger than Parkes, but do have some similar issues working in a regional area. So that's our lovely Cancer Institute in Port Macquarie. We're an integrated cancer care centre, so we have 2 LINACs, we have radiotherapy and chemotherapy. We have, I think, 4 radiation oncologists, 2 medical oncologists and 2 haematologists. So we're a reasonably large centre, and we do have a lot of people that travel to visit us as well. Just wanted to show you our beautiful palliative care unit as well, because I also work in the palliative care unit. That's a specialist unit that was purpose-built at Wauchope, which is about a 20-minute drive, 15-minute drive from Port Macquarie. That's an 8-bed unit. So this project that I'm talking about today, we've been able to implement that in both the Cancer Care Centre and in the Palliative Care Centre, which has been really fabulous. It's a project that's been going for about 4 years, and I'm just one of a team, but I'm just here to present on their behalf today. So when we're talking about complementary therapies, and it's been great because I've noticed that we've been talking about that a lot today in the different presentations, so that's been really good. And a lot of people will talk about CAM, so complementary and alternative medicine, or CATS, complementary alternative therapies. It's pretty much all the same thing. We decided we actually made a conscious choice just to call our project the Complementary Therapies Project, so that's how I'll refer to it in this talk, but very much the same thing. So basically, in terms of our project, we refer to complementary therapies as treatments that are used in conjunction with conventional medicine to assist the health and well-being of our patients. So they're in line with conventional treatments that people are having for their cancer. And basically, what complementary therapies are used to do is to reduce the side effects from treatment, help with things like anxiety and depression and just generally managing with diagnosis and treatment, improve health and well-being. And what's really important is to put some of that power back in the hands of the patients and the clients in terms of them being able to manage some of their own health and make some decisions about their care. We've done a lot of research, and normally when I present this, it goes for about an hour, so I've taken a lot of the data out, but it's all out there, and if you're interested, I would encourage you to go and do a bit of looking, because there's actually a lot of studies being done in this area. Some of them are small studies, but it's an area that there's more work being done in all the time. So some of the studies that we looked at, a lot of them showed us. Basically, they said that patients have been using complementary therapies for ages, but haven't always been talking about it. And some of the reasons they're not discussing it with their healthcare team might be because they either think we're not interested, or that we might not be perhaps approving, or that somehow it might be interfering with their conventional treatment. There's a whole range of reasons being given, and lots of studies already done in that area, as I said. So, a bit about us. So, back in 2012, so 4 years ago, lots of talk was going on, mostly in the tea room or in our shared office, between myself and some of the other staff, about exactly what I was saying, about complementary therapies, about how can we know that our patients are using them. We're getting lots of bits of information from people. What we'd like to do is make sure that people are using them in a safe way, and we'd just like to talk about it a bit more. We'd like to know what they're doing, and be able to have that aspect of their healthcare be incorporated into what we were doing with them. So we talked about it for about a year, and then we said, we better do something about it. So we formed a committee, a working party, which is still intact to this day 4 years later, and we meet every month at a minimum, so that's pretty good, I think, to have kept together for that long. So there's a range of staff on that committee. Our medical oncologist is he oversees the committee, he gets the minutes, he doesn't always come along, but he's very involved and interested. And then basically we have representation from allied health, nursing, radiation therapy, and we do have some representation now from our admin staff as well. So when we started, we didn't really know what we were doing. We just thought, let's get together, and then we went, okay, now what are we going to do? So we decided that we better look at what was already happening. So what's already out there, what kind of frameworks are already in place that we can work with so that we're not reinventing the wheel. And the Cancer Council book is fabulous, so thank you to the Cancer Council people who are here. Most people would have seen that one, The Understanding Complementary Therapies, and if you haven't and you just want a really good introduction to complementary therapies in cancer care, it's great. So that's like our little book that we bring along to every meeting. And one of the first things we did was we decided that we would only utilise or talk about modalities that are recommended in that book. So there's a whole range of different therapies that are recommended there, and we said, well, they've already done the work, they've already looked at the studies, there's evidence to say that these things work for cancer patients, so let's just run with that. And we had a lot of information too from COSA, and as I said, I've taken a lot of that sort of stuff out of the talk, but if you want to do a bit of looking around, COSA's just quite recently released some new guidelines about talking about CAM to patients, and they've got a really nice flow chart. So I'd recommend you have a look at that, because that's just, it really simplifies it, and it's quite good. So we already had, there was a lot of stuff out there, and we said, great, okay, we don't have to reinvent that. Then we thought we'd better do some groundwork before we jumped into anything, which I'm pleased we did, because all the ideas we had back then have definitely been modified. So we had a fabulous social work student who did a really great literature review and got lots of information for us. So basically any studies that were fairly current that were out there, we got to have a look at them, which was great. And we went visiting, we went tripping around. One of my colleagues went over to Western Australia. I think she had a wedding or something to go to. I don't think she just went for that, but she went and visited Solaris out there, which is like the model for all of these sorts of centres. We went and had a look at the Olivia Newton-John Wellness Centre. We had a look at Peter Mac and what they were doing. So we tried to look at what some of the bigger centres were doing in terms of complementary therapies, just so that we could, again, get ideas and not have to reinvent the wheel. And then we looked at what was already happening in our town, because there's lots of therapists in our town doing fabulous work, and we wanted to make sure we knew what was already going on. And we extended an invitation to all the therapists that we could possibly track down through the white pages and Google to come in and have a chat with us, so that they could give us their thoughts and ideas about what we might be able to do. So we did lots of groundwork. That took us quite a long time. But straight away what we wanted to do was start incorporating the discussion about complementary therapies into our everyday work. So we started looking at trying to document as a team in Mosaic if we had any discussions with patients about complementary therapies. We managed to get complementary therapies onto the patient education for both chemotherapy and radiotherapy, and we started trying to talk about it at MDT. So just as a group ourselves, we thought let's straight away try and get this on the table. Now, there were lots of barriers. There's always barriers. And you won't be surprised to know that it's New South Wales Health space and funding. Immediately we just came up against those barriers. If we were to have a little centre modelled on something like Solaris, where would we put it and how would we fund it? Because that was our original thought. We were very keen to do something like that, but we didn't have any money, basically. And there were lots of people were really worried. So initially some of our team were very concerned about what we were doing. They thought that we were promoting alternative therapies, that we were talking to people about not going ahead with conventional treatment, that we were putting them in touch with therapists who might be charging them a whole lot of money or offering them perhaps things that were going to give them false hope and were not going to work. So we had to do a lot to kind of dispel some of those myths, and I'm pleased to say we have. We worked really hard to do that. The other big barrier we came up against was we thought, okay, if we can't have a centre straight away, what we'd like to do is be able to recommend to safe practitioners locally. How do you know if these people are qualified? So how do you assess people's qualifications when all of those different modalities have different, different registration bodies and different qualifications? And also, there is a health service policy saying that you cannot recommend to individual practitioners, so we can't refer to those people. So we had lots of barriers. But luckily we had a fabulous general manager who said, you can do this through a process called governance. Set up a governance committee, and we said, oh, that sounds easy, and it wasn't. But we did it. So we set up a governance committee with all of those people, so we added to our working party, and everyone was on board. So straight away our medical oncologist and one of our radiation oncologists said, yes, pick me, I'm really happy to be on that team. A pharmacist came on board. We had to get a consumer rep through the channels. That took a long time, but we did that. So we put together this team that now meet bi-monthly. And we said, okay, here's a team that can have a look at who these people are and what they're doing. Then we set out again on Google and through the white pages to ask all of those practitioners in our area to apply to us. To go on a list, to be people that we could work with and refer to with our cancer patients. That process took a long time because we sent the applications out, they came back in dribs and drabs. We decided that at every meeting we better do just one modality at a time, so it's taken us a long time. But we have developed this great provider list now. On that list we have quite a number of physiotherapists and exercise physiologists who are running exercise programs now for our patients. We have psychologists because we have a great social work team, but we don't have any psychologists in our centre, so that was really important to us. We have meditation therapists, including one who's running a weekly group now for our patients, yoga practitioners, tons of massage and aromatherapy practitioners, and we now have energy therapists as well on our list. So we've got this great list that we can give out to our patients and say, look, we can recommend that these people are practicing in a safe manner, that they're collaborating with us, and while we can't guarantee they're doing good work, from everything we can see from their application, their CV and their insurance, they seem to be appropriately qualified. So that list, even though it doesn't sound like a big project, was a very big project, but we're really pleased with that list. It's being used all the time. We're able to refer to practitioners. We've got the practitioners coming in regularly to the palliative care unit to do massage and other things, so it's really been a really great outcome for our patients. Just quickly, some of the other projects. Most of these have happened straight from our group, or some of them have happened kind of in conjunction with what we're doing. But at the moment in Port Macquarie, we've set up a library specifically for patients and carers with lots of information around spirituality, supportive care, diet, exercise, things like that. We have an art therapy project happening. We have a clinical trial that's going to be started soon, specifically looking at massage with radiotherapy patients. All the way from the music in the waiting room that we changed to make it more user-friendly, to scalp cooling chairs. So we've really tried to, I guess, change the way we approach things and look at how we can be more patient-focused. So, what has happened? We're recommending to safe practitioners. There's much more talk happening between the patients and their healthcare team now about the therapies that they're using. There's a lot of communication between the therapists and the health professionals, so they're getting back to us. They're writing in the medical records via a special form that we've got, so they're not actually reading the patient's records, but they're able to write in the records. And basically, we hope and we feel and we believe that we have improved the service for the patients and hopefully improved the quality of life for the patients as well. Sorry, rushing to get to the end. So there's lots more happening. Since I submitted the slide, we've started another very big project around exercise for chemotherapy patients. That's just kicking off at the moment. Lots of other things. So we haven't stopped. We're very much, the momentum's still there and we're still going. So so just wanted to share a little bit about what we're doing in Port Macquarie and Wauchope, and if anyone has any questions, feel free to catch me about them later. Or
we are running just a little bit over, so unless there's any real burning questions, we might hold them to till the end. So thank you very much. So the burning question?
Coming over my shoulder. Yes, I fully agree with you. I still hold my membership for Silas Care, and I noticed that in Western Australia, the Cancer Council Western Australia have just opened up a similar type programs. But I have a problem with the description of complementary therapy. It is all only energy therapy. Everything else comes under other classifications like meditation, massage, even oncology massage, which is only an abbreviation of... how are you going to get around that when there are ways that have to be followed but aren't followed? And that sounds strange because people all say, oh, I've got this.
So sorry, I'll come back. Just addressing, in terms of the definition, we defined complementary therapies to include those other modalities for the purposes of our project. So I guess, and the Cancer Council defines complementary therapies in the same way. So I guess there may be other definitions, and I understand you've got a different understanding of that. But that's how we define it for our project, basically. So they're the therapy, we can call it whatever we like, but that's the therapies that we are promoting with our patients. So definitely are looking at energy therapies as well. They're on our list, and we're really pleased with the practitioners that are on our list using the energy therapies. Yeah.
But sometimes it's the headline that creates the confusion, where people then assume they are under that headline when they're actually somewhere else. And that's the problem I find. I've been working with energy therapies for about 15 years, and the headline is the problem.
Yeah, so it's all in the definition. I know what you're saying. Yep.
Great, thank you very much for that. Thank you again, Nicole, for that presentation.